Another choice when building a .NET application is to favor a desktop application. You have a variety of choices here as well. Let's examine these. Select Windows under C# or VB.NET. For those of you that have already worked with Visual Studio, you're probably familiar with Windows Forms applications. By looking at this dialog box itself, this could be built using a Windows Forms application. A Windows Form application is what you've come to expect when you're working with a desktop application. What if you want to take that user experience a step further? Then you would work with something called a WPF application or Windows Presentation Foundation. You can create a traditional desktop application with WPF, or you can choose a browser as a container for that WPF application. This provides a much more superior user experience when it comes to working with multimedia, such as video, such as three-dimensional objects. It also provides a richer set of controls than your traditional button, drop-down list, etc., allowing the user to be much more interactive with the desktop application. Another reason to use Windows Forms or WPF in general is when you want to cache data on the local machine. This way you can avoid costly round trips to the network to retrieve data. This is especially important if the server is remote. By leveraging the caching and the power of the desktop, you can guarantee optimal performance. Choosing a desktop application is best suited for intranets or internal corporate networks or any time when you have control over the user base install. This is because Windows Forms and WPF both rely on the .NET framework in order to build the user experience. Keep in mind, you don't have to have Visual Studio in order to have the .NET framework. So if you choose a desktop application as your architecture, consider that you may have the .NET framework on that machine already. It's available as an optional update through Windows Update, as a bootstrapper installation, or as a full package. When you build a desktop application, the machine will be examined during installation of that application, and the appropriate version of the .NET Framework will be installed. The setup for .NET Framework 3.5 will only install the necessary bits. So, if the .NET Framework 2.0 or 3.0 is already installed, then only the service packs and the 3.5 bits will be added. Another choice when building a desktop application is an Office application. As we mentioned earlier, you have a lot more choices when it comes to building templates for Office applications. Traditionally, if you wanted to build an Excel template or a Word template, you would actually have to open up Word and create a template that way. This is no longer the case. You can work directly with Office types of templates such as Word, Excel, and Project right within Visual Studio. You can also build add-ins and also workflow engines for SharePoint. Office is a great choice for a user interface because it does already come with a rich set of features that you can leverage and bring services down into that Office application without necessarily having to rebuild a fresh new user interface.